What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. A1EDU, I'm Robert. I will be your host through this wonderful journey of discovering new safes today. And specifically, we will be speaking about the American Security BFII7250. I'm gonna tell you all about this monster, right? What does it weigh, and where can I buy one, and what's the fire rating? How many long guns will it hold, bearded boy? I'm gonna tell you that and so much more. Stay to the end. Let's get right into the video. Don't have to be super tight. That's right. Before we get too far, I'd like to start by reminding everybody of a couple things. That being, thanks for being here. That is numero uno, because you can be anywhere learning about anything, but you're right here with me and we're learning about safes today. Because of that, if you get a chance, go visit www.a-1locksmith.com, where you can see safes and safe accessories and other things that we offer. And as a special thank you for being here and checking it out, we're offering you a discount code. That is A1EDU. Make sure when you get to the checkout that you drop that code in there. Save yourself some money. Again, that is just a big thank you for being here. Now let's get into the safe talk. Again, American Security BFII7250. I will often say AMSEC. AMSEC, of course, is short for AMSEC. So if I say that, don't be confused, don't be alarmed. That's commonly what it's referred to in our industry. Around these parts, we play a little game called What You See in Front of You. Now, in doing so, I start with dimensions and then everything else that you can visually see on camera right now, and then of course we break everything down from there, okay? I'll start with the height, which is 71¼ inches tall. It is 50 inches wide. It's a big one. The depth is 28 inches. Take heed, the depth is just the body, meaning from the very back of the safe to the very front of the safe. That does not include your external hinges, nor your lock, nor your 5-spoke handle, and no, it does not include your pull handle. So when we look at those things right there, we want to know that we've got those things going on for us. So there's also a plug in the back, we'll get to that, like an outlet for electricity on the inside. So it's 28 inches deep, but go ahead and call it safely 3½ inches when you're measuring your space and where this is going to go. That's just to be safe, okay? And I don't want to go too far, throw it up on the screen for me, Ian, but this thing is made in America. Thank you. This is textured black. There are several finishes though, right? There's high gloss, like a car paint job, if you will, and that's available in a few different colors. There's a two-tone thing going on. There's several different options there. There's different colored option on the hardware as well. So there's many options that you can do with colors, but this is textured black. And this hardware that we see in front of us, this is the black nickel finish hardware. So that is a mechanical lock. It's a Group 2 mechanical lock. It can come that way, or you can upgrade to a keypad, which would be the ESL10. And the trick thing about that is that ESL10 keypads, or all keypads from American Security, are their own. They do not outsource from another company. They do their own R&D. Those are their own locks. And in the BF series, there's multiple BFs. There's a BF, there's BFX, there's BF2. All of those, there's a 5-year manufacturer's lock warranty, whether it's keypad or mechanical. Issue with the lock inside of 5 years, make a phone call. They send the locksmith out to take care of it. Important to remember there. This is gonna get rowdy. I'm gonna get nerdy for a little bit because I'm a locksmith and that's kind of what I'm into. And then we'll get into the super cool stuff, so stay with me, okay? What you see in front of you here, the body, is constructed of an 11 gauge steel. 11 gauge is good. It is. That's kind of where you see some of your $2,000 to $5,000 safes kind of fall. This is not that though, because even though, I'm gonna get real nerdy. Even though this is only an 11 gauge steel on the outside of this body, there's actually several layers of steel to the body. So I think to make that easier, I'm just gonna have him put the little picture on the screen that'll kind of break it down. So as I'm saying it, he'll point to it. I think is how this works. And then it's gonna make a little bit more sense, okay? So you can see in front of you, but you can't. One of those type things, okay? So again, picture on the screen, right? Okay. I don't actually know where it is, but it's an 11 gauge steel exterior, just the body. We're gonna talk about the door in a minute, okay? And so 11 gauge steel, And then there's their dry light fill material, which is their fire retardant thermal material. And then that's encased in between now another layer of 12 gauge steel, as you can see in the picture, right? So 11, dry light, 12 gauge. Now that's just the outside shell, if you will, of the body. Now the inside shell of the safe is a 4 gauge steel. That's right, there's a third layer, and it's even thicker than any of the exterior layers, which make this body exceptionally impressive. Well, let's talk about the door now. The door starts with, right off the bat, right here, a 1/2 inch thick steel plate. The entire face of the door is made from a 1/2 inch thick piece of steel. No, you do not see that in very many safes on the market by a stretch of imagination. So what happens there? 1/2 inch thick layer, then more of that dry light material gets poured in there as the fire barrier here, and then there's an 11 gauge, is the diagram still on the screen? I don't know, because it shows you what I'm trying to say in case it doesn't make sense. There's an 11 gauge steel encasing that, and then we finally get to the innards of the lock, which would be the bolt work and everything of that nature, yeah? That's cool. That's really cool. So then we've got 1.5 inch diameter bolts going around the door. That's kind of the starter for what we see in front of us. It's a really strong box. It's a really strong box. Okay, that's the super fun, nerdy, cool stuff that I like to do. Oh, I guess I should say, that's fair. So like I said, 1/2 inch steel, dry light in the door, 11 gauge steel, then we get to the lock. Okay, so if we were trying to drill, we gotta go through all that to drill. But then let's just say, okay, hey, I'm just gonna beat this lock and I'm gonna get right into the door. Well, there's an external relocker that the lock is hooked to on the inside. And so what happens is I put the lock together from the outside and the inside, and then I attach an external relocker, which is a lot like the booby trap. Think mouse trap, okay? Because what happens is the lock's right here and it's in place because it's screwed into place. Then I gotta take this big piece of metal with a big old spring and lock it into place and let go of it, and hopefully it doesn't bite my fingers, right? Now that it's being held in place and it's got a big old spring holding it there, if I start beating on this door hard enough and I shake that lock body, well then the thing that's holding on to the lock body moves, and this giant piece of steel will shoot down into the gears that this has to spin back and forth on. And so because it drops down in there, it doesn't spin. Even if I came behind you and I knew the combination, then I still couldn't open it. So it's really impressive that way. Now, the important thing to talk about in the safe world, obviously, is security, which we've kind of covered with all that steel talk, yes? Now we're gonna talk about fire, because fire protection is something that you're probably shopping for and or should be shopping for, because we don't wanna lose things like documents and guns and pictures and papers and whatever we think is important to put in here. We don't wanna lose it because there was a fire, right? So we'll put the little heat graph on the screen. Having a little technical difficulty. There we go, fire. So imagine that there is a fire and it's blazing hot like the one you see me standing in. And it burns until it gets to 1200 degrees. It's really hot. It's hotter than the average house fire. Let's say that it burns that long for 2 hours. So for 2 hours at 1200 degrees, this safe won't get hotter than 350 degrees on the inside. That's super important, that 350, because paper's combustible over 400 degrees. So we're well below that. Since 350 is kind of the max is what they're saying they'll hit, so we could stay lower than that even, right? Especially if we never made it to 1200 degrees, for example. So combustible paper over 400, and then stocks, precious metals, cash, all these things, right? They should be well protected within that. So 2 hours is a really, really good fire rating. Speaking of fire, go away. Huh? So, helping us with our fire protection is first Palusol. So we've got this material here. If you can't see it, don't worry. She's probably gonna put a close-up right about now. This material here on the edge of the door will expand 7 times its natural state in order to create a tighter seal between the door and the body when the door is shut. And then on top of that, around the inside of the door jamb is another silicone seal. So now we've got these two things when the door is shut that are helping to make sure that they're sealing tight so that it's not letting in smoke, and it's not letting in soot, and it's not letting in water from like the water hose when the fire department's there. All these things. We're being protected from all of that, okay? Let's have some fun. This is what you came here to see. I know. Right here, let's start. First of all, this is the 42 plus 2 gun interior. What that means is that 42 plus 2 long guns can be stored on the door. So let's say this is clear and empty. YouTube reviewer person, see that? Nothing in there. That means I can take the buttstock in the pouch down here, and I can use this elastic band here, and ta-da! So 42 plus 2, because I can do the same thing over here, okay? So this is their premium door organizer. We've got wonderful pockets, pouches, elastic things, and zippers, and of course, pistols on the door. They make a hell of a safe. It's an understatement. They're getting better at this part. They really are. This is getting a lot nicer. What I mean by that is we should be able to probably do more than just this right here. Now, there's room, obviously, but depending on the size of weapons, the Velcro pouch holster thing, I realize everybody's a little iffy, but this is, oh, this one. Wait, which one's heavier? This one, 1911, 45 ACP. This is mine, so if it falls, I'm gonna lose my mind. Nah, I've never had one fall making one of these videos. And I'm opening the door, and I mean, I do this all in one take, every time. But yet in doing that, I've never had one drop. So the Velcro seems to hold up pretty well. I've never had a customer come at me having an issue even after years. So the Velcro's okay. I have had people throw out, like, well, you just put a weapon down in here, in these pockets. Maybe. So I wish I'd get a little bit more gun friendly for pistols, but even at that, there's still a ton of storage on here. Magazines and binoculars and range finders and maybe some documents, things like that. There's actually a lot you can do on the premium door panel, okay? You may notice there are some exceptionally long LED bars running up and down the inside of the interior. Those are motion censored, and they light it up pretty well. They do add the mirror, which is nice. It adds depth of field. You might be able to see yourself. Can you see yourself in there? It's pretty cool, right? So they have a mirror, so you know if you're messing around, it kind of adds a depth of field, or it helps you find that thing in the back. You can see it there. That's always been a part of they've kind of been big on that for years. With the power though, if you look down there, there is the 3 outlet power strip, which also does have USB capabilities. So if you want to plug in like a hard drive, you want to plug in an extra watch winder, dehumidifier, your NVR system for your cameras, things you just don't want to lose in a fire as well, or in a security situation. That's pretty nice to have that as well. So the shelving, as you can see, oh, I'm sorry. I should probably touch on, because this is pretty new to AMSEC, the new faux leather interior material. They used to use, like everybody else, a soft, carpety type material. I don't know what it's called. But in doing so, we had a lot of conversations back and forth, and they kind of understood that, hey, this should be wider, the gun rack. So we can do that, one, by getting a thinner material, and then two, just making the racks wider. So they did a great job of adding that. As you can see, I just went ahead and I threw in the 6 rifles just to get an idea. So again, can I get to 42? Depends on what you got. Let's be real. That said, I mean, there are some, that's a 28-inch 12 gauge back there, fits just fine. So I can put a bunch of those in there. 22 with a scope on it fits fine. A couple of AR platforms with EOTechs on them fit fine. Deer rifle with a large scope on it fits fine. So on and such forth, yeah. So you can fit quite a few in there. I was actually being pretty loose and just kind of setting them in there. If I had a bunch and I needed to tightly pack them in there, I could probably do that. What's cool about this interior too is that if you're just not there in the collection yet, but you like the size and you like the idea of growing now, be ready for the future with more collection or just more stuff to put in there. So obviously I could just do, gun or 2 gun sections, if you will. You can do all these in shelves on one side. Real modularity there to kind of move around and put what you want to do. I'm going to stack a whole bunch of ammo from the floor up. You can do that. A lot of options that way, which is pretty cool. It does have 4 holes, so we can deliver this thing and install it, put it right in place. And then we can still drill into the foundation and anchor it to add to the security of it. I think that's important to always mention that is an option. And then even though this thing does weigh 2,438 pounds, which is no chump, we can still add the security by bolting it down and making it really hard for somebody to try to attempt to mess with. Important about gun interior as well. You notice there is a cutout over here. So if you did have something even longer than this 28-inch, it's got room to come up here and breathe. And I can still leave this shelf, or I can take this out and use something like a Barrett that wants to go through here. There's plenty of room for that. A lot of y'all are into black powder. Those things get kind of long too. The MSRP number for this thing is like $18,900, which is strong. That's just a strong number. So if you were to call me though, and you're like, hey, Bearded guy, I saw your video, I thought it was pretty cool. How much is it? More than likely, kind of that dealer pricing that you'll find, it's probably gonna be more around like $14,175. Is it on the screen, or did I just make that motion for no reason? I can never tell. So if you have any questions about that, drop them down there in that comment section and ask. I don't think I've said it throughout this whole video. They're probably gonna hit me for that. But if you like the video, be a friend, okay? Like, subscribe, follow, notification bell, share. That's a lot of things. I keep apologizing, I'm sorry. It's a lot of things. But remember, I gave you the code for A1EDU when you go to the website, right? That's kind of the give and take between you and I. Just you and me though, not everybody else. That's me saying, hey, I asked you to do all those things. It's a lot. Here's a code for doing it, right? Thank you. I think that's it. Off the top of my head, yes? Again, questions, comments, drop them down below. I promise you I'll answer them. Until the very next time I see you, I am Robert. This is A1EDU, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.